Anita Sarkeesian, a relic from the bygone era of Gamergate. The moment in time between 2015 and late 2016, at best, when these victim grifters had the most power and made the most money.
So I speak for all gamers when I say the media should stop talking to critics like Anita Sarkeesian. Here now to be talked to is media critic and creator of the web series Feminist Frequency, Anita Sarkeesian. Ms. Sarkeesian, thanks so much for being on here.
DSP is still trying to figure out how to tap into those pity bucks. Honestly, I don't know what Gamergate is about, and I think 90% of people no longer know what it's about or care what it's about. There's something about some chick with a game called Depression Quest sleeping with developers or something allegedly to get reviews. Her boyfriend exposed her. It was a whole mess that led into some other garbage that, guess what? It doesn't matter, because it was a long time ago and nobody cares. We're in a recession. At this point, the phrase is now a meme. Only taken seriously by hyper-progressives or trans game developers that created a game you've never heard of or seen or ever will know of, and progressive, chronic Twitter users who attach the phrase Gamergate to everything from violence to elections. Hell, Gamergate's in your Nestle's crunch.
Alright.
Since ain't nobody got time for that, and I'm a little tired of doing oral book reports on cringe, I'll keep it as short as possible. Anita was big years ago. She created Feminist Frequency, and then she somehow parlayed that into a career of being a professional victim. While her supposed passion project was Feminist Frequency, it was left to languish in the background. It also went bankrupt in, I believe, 2019, 2020.
Oh no! What happened? Oh no! How terrible! That's just awful! How terrible! Oh no!
Her co-host, Carolyn Pennant or something like that, damn near went homeless from it. While Anita herself at the time was in a foreign country buying art, if I recall correctly. No, I'm not looking for the tweets. Don't worry, the co-host is now pivoted to a job at Kotaku, and it's more shit than ever. Oh, there was that time when Feminist Frequency wanted like $30,000 for Discord or something crazy like that. And as you all know, opening a Discord is free. Well, they got their name scooped by Thunderfoot, I think. Oh, do you remember that time she tried to offer help to CD Projekt Red for their PR team because they were being hounded by the trans community, which wanted trans representation, but then turned around and said CD Projekt Red was fetishizing the trans community? And Anita Sarkeesian was like, oh, you could avoid all of this if you just hired me, and I could help you if you're, I think she said misogynist, something wild like that. It was just kind of like, go away, madam. Do you remember that time when Zoe Quinn got $80,000 to make a video game back in 2016, but it never came out? By the way, it's 2022, about to be 2023, and the game still isn't out. But in 2018, some of the people that were supporting her, they were like, hey, Zoe, where was the game? And she was in Japan at the time trying to get laid on Tinder. Pretty funny. Do you remember that other time when Brianna Wu was running for office and her major talking point was Gamergate?
I was targeted by the alt-right in a hate group known as Gamergate. I'm Brianna Wu, and I approve this message.
Now, every so often, Anita pops up to promote some project she's working on that nobody cares about. And that seems to be the case yet again with this TV show called Remember When?
What exactly did Murphy Brown, a sitcom about a white
is that it
female
represents something you hear people on the right these days complain about all the time.
She was just another
and their term for it
of a
is
society
cancel
that had
culture.
lost its way.
I'm not
but it was her films that had something to say, which really shook up early Hollywood.
All right,
In 1915, she wrote, produced, and directed
good intentions. The original Star
Narratively,
Trek
it's a
is
pretty
very
straightforward
much
morality.
No matter what the subject is, no matter what the context, even if what she's talking about is humorous and ironic, the woman's cadence never changes. No wonder this show can't get over 100 likes when she retweets it on Twitter. Good God. Review Tech USA could post about kissing chickens in his sleep and get more engagement in 10 minutes. The show appears to be centered around things that happened obviously years ago that nobody cares about now, in her not very funny or engaging way of presenting things or complaining about things, because everything is problematic.
About systems, everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
Shut up, silly woman.
Politics and difference can be cringingly ham-fisted to modernize. And even when it got things right on the racial justice front, the show was still rife with plenty of sexism. The iconic central trio of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy were the beating white male heart of the show.
The way she explains Star Trek is a clear case of her usual style and delivery. Let's face it, at the time, Star Trek and Gene Roddenberry were revolutionary and were definitely very progressive. For God's sakes, Star Trek had the first interracial kiss on national television in the 1960s, back when racism was still a very real thing. Whereas to racism now is just saying you would rather have Trump as president and then someone black running up and going, "So you're racist." Frankly, covering old subjects in the digital age is like trying to swim with lead weights attached to your feet. If you're doing something that's even 4 days old, it's considered a dead subject by now. The key is to be interesting rather than coming off as sanctimonious, the modern woman telling us about how things were worse in the past as she lives comfortably in the future. Unfortunately for Anita Sarkeesian, people are kind of getting over this crap. Her and her ilk will never stop, because bringing up Gamergate is the only way for them to get any shred of attention or any kind of money. This tweet got the most traction out of all of her clips from her very boring television show on a streaming service you've never heard of, because she uttered the famous buzzword. Urkel in the 90s had, "Did I do that?" SpongeBob had, "Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?" And Anita Sarkeesian has Gamergate.
Now, I would be so happy to never talk about Gamergate or online harassment ever again. But here we are still, because even though the hashtag Gamergate is largely a thing of the past, the sentiments behind Gamergate didn't start existing with the birth of the hashtag, and they haven't gone away since then either. Gamergate wasn't a fluke. It wasn't an isolated incident that took place in a cultural vacuum. Gamergate revealed the modern-day playbook for online reactionary movements. The strategies that worked for Gamergate also helped Donald Trump energize his own violent, aggressive, and oppressive fan base and ride their reactionary rage into the White House. And we'll probably continue to see these strategies used by the right in the future.
Right.
Wasn't that a rousing episode? We should have known that if Anita Sarkeesian had a television show that seems to have all the production value of Feminist Frequency, they just moved the camera back like 4 feet. Or maybe they moved from like a 90mm zoom to maybe a 35 or 25mm with a static 2-light setup. Bravissimo. What great production value. See, it's like I said, Gamergate even got Trump into the White House. It wasn't the large number of people that were thumbing their nose at the system. It wasn't the fly-by states, quotation marks, finally having enough with the establishment. It was those goddamn Call of Duty players. Isn't there some other bull she wrote here?
The last episode of That Time When unpacks Gamergate and how the violent entitlement fueled temper tantrum hell-bent on preserving the male-dominated gaming culture.
You know why it's male-dominated? Because men were interested in it, and there were a few women into gaming. And it's still prevalent today that few chicks are into gaming. Yes, there's more women into gaming than ever before, but it's still a minority. It's kind of like the gay community. What is it, 3% of the population, but we act like it's over 50%? That's the point. It's a heterosexual dominated planet, but my God, have I got to entertain a man in women's shoes?
The gaming culture had long-term destructive repercussions far beyond gaming. Watch it now on Nebula.
No, I'd rather punch myself in the dick. Antisocial replies and completely and utterly bodies her tweet. This is 365 likes.
Remember when you tried to get the UN to censor the internet because you got called out for lying and stealing other people's footage?
Zing! Uh-oh, looks like another one of those Gamergaters. My God. The fact that this woman's still around, people give her television shows and platforms, truly tells me that these are tax write-offs. Nebula is probably going to be like, we lost a lot of money on this diversity show that features strong female leads. Please, please, government, give us some subsidies and tax breaks, because there's no way anyone's watching this. If Warner Brothers looked at the Batwoman movie and knew that it would tank, you know Nebula looked at Anita Sarkeesian's pitch for a television show whining about crap that happened 100 years ago. Oh, remember when the Dixie Chicks got canceled in '94? No, I don't, because it doesn't matter. None of this matters. I'm done. Turn it off, Stu. I've had it. I can't stick to the script. I cannot.